Here's the number one reason why Indian clubs are an exceptional tool for both athletes and martial artists, and I would say perhaps even one of the best tools that you can utilize. Just to get started, the very first reason why this is such a great tool is the effects that it has on your grip and on the forearm and wrist development. So I have talked about this in other videos as well, that when you swing this, obviously, you have to understand that you are gripping this thick handle, so that already enhances your development of the grip muscles. But all of these different swings that you're doing, everything like here, every single one of these swings will also engage the muscles of the forearm. It only takes like few swings to even feel these muscles here that are very rarely you feel the let's say the ulnar or the radial deviator muscles of the wrist if you're utilizing, for example, dumbbells. Just a few swings with the club and you're going to be feeling those muscles. So why is that type of development so good and beneficial for sports or for martial artists? If you think about many sports that are utilizing either a bat, stick, racket, we talk about like baseball, ice hockey, tennis, or cricket, you are in these sports utilizing an object that you have to grip on either with two hands or with one hand, and you have to be able to handle that object very, let's say, fluently and with power and with skill. So to an extent, you don't have to even mimic the exact same movement that you're performing in these sports with these tools, but the effect that you get from the wrist and the grip are something that transfer exceptionally well. And even the lightest, usually, you can have the lightest club even starting just from 1 kilo, but traditionally, if you want to really start to be training with this, you should have at least 2 kilo club. And this is a 3 kilo club that is very good for beginning as well. And if you compare the weight of this into like a baseball bat that is usually like maximum around 1 kilogram, maybe a little bit above or a little bit or less, or a cricket bat that is like the heaviest are like 1.5 kilo. And you swing this one that is 3 kilo. So you're getting, let's say, much stronger stimulus into those grip and forearm muscles, even with just one of the lightest clubs that is out there. So as a result, you can imagine that if you have to swing your bat or your stick or hold on to the racket, you would have a much better strength and endurance and possibly an ability to handle that tool. So that is just one thing where you can actually gain a better control over any kind of tool, racket, bat, or stick that you might be utilizing in the sports. Then we can also look at, of course, the effects on the martial arts. And of course, in some martial arts, actually, even, traditional martial arts, if you are utilizing like this sword or utilizing like this big stick like the bow, you are getting those same type of benefits. Of course, you have a better control, better capacity in your wrists to really endure and hold on to things. But if you look at martial arts where we're not grabbing onto any object, let's say this way, not even grabbing onto people, we're not even talking about wrestling or grappling, let's talk about just striking arts. So when you strike anything like this way and your fist will be the contact point, that will always put strain on the wrist, on the forearm muscles, forearm area. And a lot of people are, for example, limited in their power because they don't have strong enough wrists. A lot of people cannot even throw a proper punch without putting all the wraps, putting a lot of padding and really like tightening and supporting that wrist. But if you have a strong enough wrist, you can see there are people who are punching a lot with bare also knuckles, and they can withstand it. And for that purpose, you need to have a strong wrist. If you have a strong wrist, and stable wrist. That is something that can unlock a huge amount of power just because you're not even, let's say, subconsciously afraid of injuring your wrist when you punch something. So you can punch with full force, keep it stiff, and so you have a perfect, let's say, power transfer from your legs to the core, to the shoulder, all the way into that end point, which is your wrist and the fist, bam. So that is something that actually protects the shape of your wrist. And I would say that even protects to an extent your hands, because when you're gripping this, of course, your fingers will be stronger, even your thumb will be to an extent stronger. So getting that type of benefits can make a big difference in your power production and also the health of your joints. So it's twofold: strength and power, plus actually just keeping your wrist healthy and safe. Then we can go to the other, let's say, part of martial arts, which is the grappling and wrestling. So you need to hold on to other people in general. Maybe you're holding on to their costume, the clothes they're wearing, like the gi, but also, your wrist, ankles, like underhooks, overhooks, whatever, where you need to even like do this kind of a hook grip, maybe like just knee taps and so on. You're using your wrists. And one of the biggest things that I've noticed from this is not even necessarily like, okay, I'm able to produce like maximum strength, but it's the endurance. Because what I've talked about often when it comes to martial arts, your strength is nothing if you cannot maintain it. Like if you are able to do like one big, like a deadlift grunt, that can be impressive, but it will not help you in the martial arts unless you can sustain it and perform it over and over again. Like this is the key in martial arts, and grappling especially. When I first started doing wrestling and had never done this type of training, my wrists always were super pumped and super tired after doing even just a few rounds of doing grappling. So with these ones, because they actually enable for me to do like minutes and like minute-long set, like 100 repetitions even, to do with these swings. So with that sense, I just noticed that my endurance in my grip grew like enormously. And I was of course, even if I now do wrestling or something, my grip can get tired, but not to the extent that it did before. Like there's a huge difference, because these actually targeted my wrist and their endurance in a way that no other tool ever had the same kind of impact. So there's that grip effect, of course. So endurance is one part, but we can talk about also just the direct strength. And if you have better strength and also the endurance, it means that you will have a better control also over your opponent. So of course you can pin if you need to. It's not always useful to like squeeze with all your power and pin someone, but if there is that case that you need to control someone really gripping there, even like if you're trying to pass a card and you need to try to control the legs, you can really squeeze those angles like really tightly. And this way, of course, you have a better control. The other aspects, as I mentioned, grips even like this way. With the club, there isn't often like this type of articulation necessarily, but the muscles here, the flexor muscles, still get so sore sometimes when you're training with them. So you're getting a very, let's say, multifaceted development on your wrist and on your grip that will help you, whether it's striking or it's grappling or wrestling. And also whether it's the sports that I just mentioned that utilize these rackets, any sports that actually involves your wrist or forearms or grip, this will be an amazing, I'd say, invaluable tool. Now, before you get started, it is good to consider the weight of the object. And as I mentioned, 3 kilo, it may sound light to you, but this is already good amount of resistance for, depending on your personal, for example, statistics, what is your weight, what is your height. If you are shorter than I am, like maybe I'm 180 centimeters, like a little bit less than 80 kilos. So if you're around there, I would say that 4 to 6 kilo will be good for you. If you're smaller than that and you have no experience and you know you have a weak grip, you can go as below as really 3 kilo, even 2 kilo. But I would say that 3 is good because you need to really feel a bit of the weight to start, swinging it properly. So in general, 3 to 6 kilos, which is from around 6 pounds, 6 to 7 pounds, all the way up to 12 or 13 pounds. So that's kind of the range that you can begin your training. Just understand that really don't underestimate the weight, because the lever is something that increases the forces tremendously. And I have here these ones which are from 5 to 6 kilos. This I cannot hold even anymore. Like if I'm holding like this way horizontally, it will drop. So with these ones, you really need a bit more skill also, because you're not able to purely with muscularly control it. You need some skill and you need to learn to utilize the momentum of the club. It's good to note that these tools that I'm utilizing, these are ancient tools. They have a history of probably well over 2,000 years, because the recorded history is somewhere there around 2,000 years. If you go to ancient India, these also have a probably same amount of history even in the ancient Persian Empire. And this has been used by soldiers, by warriors, by athletes for centuries, or like I said, 1,000 years, for a millennia. So, for example, this has been the base, let's say the main tool of Indian wrestlers, because of some of these benefits that I explained. Actually, a lot more even benefits, which I will be going through probably in another video as well. So it's good to really understand that these have a long history and they have a track record of usage among high-level athletes, among very, very high-level athletes. So these are not only something that I've noticed, I just noticed them myself after using them without actually an approach to training with these, without any kind of pre-idea that these would be effective. I honestly didn't have no idea about the effectiveness. I started to use this and I noticed the benefits, and that's it. And the history, I found out later, and it makes really sense that they have such a long history and they are still here today. Like, how many training equipments do you know that even after thousands of years are still being produced and used? So Indian clubs are one of those. And that pretty much finishes this video of the different benefits that you have for the athletes and martial artists from just the grip and forearm development with the clubs. Stay strong, guys.